Hello everyone, Chief Meteorologist Matt Holiner here. Well, we're transitioning into mid-December, so it's about time that we had a winter storm to talk about, right? Well, indeed we do. And boy, the timing this time sure is a bummer. Right when we're ready to kick back, relax for the weekend, this thing's coming in and going to be causing a mess. And I want to spend time talking about southern and central Wisconsin, because boy, is this a tricky forecast. And where you live in southern and central Wisconsin is going to make a big difference on how much snow you're going to see. We know it's a guarantee the northern half of the state is going to be seeing a lot of snow, but the answer is not that clear for the southern half of the state. So let's get right to it. I want to really focus in on the timing here and when we think the worst of it's going to be and when we're going to transition from rain to snow, because that's going to make a big difference the amount of snow you're going to see. And it also makes for a very tricky forecast as well. So, starting at 10 a.m. this morning, because I think that's when the first precipitation could begin in la-crosse. And to be honest with you, I'm feeling it's probably going to start as a little bit of rain in the la-crosse area, though it's going to be tricky because we know that in the northern half of the state, it's all going to start as snow, but boy, is that not going to be the case in the southern half of the state. Let's jump ahead to 1 o'clock this afternoon, because that's when I think the precipitation is going to begin in the very southern part of the state, the Madison, Kenosha area, but it's all going to be rain and la-crosse. We're going to be talking about this throughout the day. When are we going to go from rain to snow? Notice the line right through la-crosse. Notice this is all going to be very light precipitation at 1 o'clock, so if you're still driving around, that shouldn't be an issue. But as we get into the late afternoon, the precipitation is going to become more widespread, and the intensity is going to be picking up. Notice these darker shades of green and blue showing up, heavier snow coming down, heavier rain coming down. They're certainly not talking about flooding rains in the Madison and Kenosha area. But it's all going to be rain. Madison, Kenosha, 4 o'clock this afternoon. But oh no, here we go with that transition zone, that pink, that orange. That's indicating freezing rain and sleet. And notice that's right over la-crosse. Got to call it a true wintry mix this afternoon in the la-crosse area. 4 o'clock is going to be a key time for us in la-crosse. If it's snowing at 4 o'clock this afternoon in la-crosse, we're going to end up with some big snow totals. If it's still raining at 4 o'clock this afternoon, then the snow totals are going to be a little bit on the light side. And that's a possibility. It could still be all rain at 4 o'clock this afternoon in la-crosse, but it could also be all snow. La-crosse is probably the most challenging forecast in the state because of this transition from the rain and snow zone, where there's going to be a whole lot of snow versus what's all going to be a whole lot of rain. Again, not flooding rains, but rain coming down. Now, we push into the early evening hours. This is when I think the precipitation is going to be most widespread and probably the heaviest coming down this evening, which, yeah, the takeaway here is not looking like a good Friday night to go out. This is an indoor night. Even Madison, Kenosha, no, you're not going to be seeing snow, but it's going to be a cold rain, which is nasty. Better off making some indoor plans. Notice that transition zone over across, that wintry mix. Is it going to be a little bit of freezing rain and sleet? That's a possibility. Will it already be snow? That's also a possibility. You're in that mix. All rain, though, for Madison. All rain for Kenosha. 10 o'clock this evening. Still the mix. I think it's about 10 o'clock, though, where we're going to be transitioning from the mix in la-crosse to an all-snow event. But still all rain in Madison. All rain in Kenosha. Now, after midnight tonight, that's when I think we're very confident that it's going to be all snow in the la-crosse area, and that transition zone is going to be pushing to the south and east. So Madison, this is when after midnight we might get into that rain-snow mix, but still all rain for the Kenosha area. By 4 a.m., when hopefully most of us are asleep, but 4 a.m., early tomorrow morning, very late tonight, probably all snow in Madison, certainly all snow la-crosse, rain-snow mix for Kenosha. Now, not sure that we're ever going to fully transition to an all-snow event in the southeastern part of the state, around the Kenosha area. It may very well stay at rain-snow mix. I do think it'll be all snow, though not very much. La-crosse and Madison, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is going to be pretty light stuff, and I bet it ends during the early morning hours in la-crosse. By the time we get to 10 a.m., some lingering flurries in the eastern part of the state. By 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, everything's out of here. It's over, but it's going to be windy, and it's going to be cold. So kind of an indoor day, but not as bad as what we're talking about for tonight, because the sun is actually going to be coming out. That'll be nice, but it's not going to be feeling too pleasant with that wind chill. That's certainly going to be a factor. More on that in just a bit. So $1 million question, how much snow, right? All right, so this is a blend of all the models. So if we had to pick one number, this is what we're going to go with right now. If you blend all the computer models together, this is what they're kicking out. Notice that the official average snowfall amount for Kenosha actually comes in with a big fat 0. You may not see any accumulating snow in Kenosha. Madison area, looking about 1.5 inches. But boy, that's where it really starts to get tricky. We get this very tight snowfall grade. Of course, what stands out right away is those big old totals in the north central part of the state. Talking about a foot of snow. How about over in Minnesota? 14, close to 15 inches. That's certainly a possibility. But la-crosse, oh man, this is where it gets tough. The computer model average right now kicking out just under 7 inches, but I've got to stress, don't focus on that 7-inch amount, because it could very well end up being a bit more than that. It could very well end up coming in under that. This is all going to depend on how quickly we transition from seeing rain to snow. If it occurs early this afternoon, then it's possible we could end up with something like 8 to 9 inches, kind of what's being shown around the Winona, Minnesota area. That could happen over la-crosse. But if it's still raining at sunset tonight, then I would not rule out the possibility of an amount more in the 3 to 4 inch zone for la-crosse. That's, again, what makes this forecast so challenging. A lot of uncertainty there. We're just going to have to watch as it plays out today. But if you're wanting a amount, I would say in that 6 to 7 inch range is what's most likely. The overall takeaway, though, for southern and central Wisconsin, the farther north and west you live, the more snow you're going to see. The farther south and east you live, the less snow you're going to see. In fact, around the Kenosha area, you may end up not seeing any at all. So I've thrown a whole lot of information at you right here. I'm going to throw just a little bit more, though, because I did mention the chance of freezing rain and sleet. I don't think it's going to be much, though. Again, the model average saying, yes, we probably are going to see a little bit of ice accumulation that could glaze your windshield, could accumulate on plants, but we're talking about less than 1/10 of an inch. So that amount is not going to cause widespread icy roads, power outages. That's not going to be the case. But yes, there is a possibility for a little bit of glaze as well, pretty much in between la-crosse and Madison in that transition zone. But this is not going to be a crippling ice storm by any means. All right, so let's summarize everything. Starting with la-crosse, I want to focus in on those 3 key cities that tell the story of how things are going to be varying across southern and central Wisconsin. La-crosse, 80% chance of a wintry mix during the day today. How quickly do we go from rain to snow? The sooner that happens, the bigger our snow totals are going to be. But I've got to call this a mix because it might take a while. It might look like it's transitioned to snow and then suddenly shift back to rain. That can happen in a situation like this. The high today, 36. Tonight, we're going to still call it a mix during the evening hours, eventually all snow after midnight. It's going to be breezy tonight, gusts around 25 miles per hour, the low temperature 29 degrees. Just a little bit of leftover snow early morning hours tomorrow. I'll put a little 20% chance in. Then the clouds are going to break. The sun's going to come out in the afternoon, a high of 35. It's going to be windy, though, so it's not going to feel that warm. Gusts around 30 miles per hour. And I've got to go with the snow total range. I think this is a safer bet. And if I had to pick a range for la-crosse, I know it's big. I have to go with 4 to 8 inches. So maybe the most likely amount somewhere around 6 inches. But in general, if you live a little bit to the north and west of la-crosse, you have a better chance of seeing that 8-inch total. If you live to the south and east of la-crosse, more likely you're going to come in on the 4-inch side. So just keep that in mind. There is going to be variation depending on where you live, northwest versus southeast. All right, let's talk about Madison now. And this is going to be much more of a rain event. In fact, I don't even think we're going to see the freezing rain and sleet. I think it's going to be a transition from rain to snow. There's still a little bit of uncertainty here in Madison about when that happens, and that will also dictate how much snow we ultimately see. But it's certainly all going to be rain when it starts this afternoon and even through the evening hours. It is likely going to stay rain. Our high today, 39 degrees, a low of 30 tonight. Notice a 70% chance of rain during the afternoon. Dry this morning. 100% chance, everybody getting in on that rain during the evening hours, but transition to that rain-snow mix overnight. And then tomorrow morning, there will be snow showers around. It will be cold enough. It will be snow coming down, but not very heavy stuff. So that's why the snow total is quite a bit less than in the la-crosse area. For Madison proper, probably inch and a half if you live to the north and west of Madison, though. So around Baraboo, perhaps the Portage area, more likely that you're going to come in that 2.5, 3-inch zone. Versus to the south and east, even less than that. So speaking of, let's talk about Kenosha. Again, this is mostly going to be a rain event for you with a little bit of flurry activity thrown in at the very end. 70% chance of rain this afternoon. Notice it's going to be warmer, high of 49. Low of 32 tonight, and I do think it stays all rain all night long. There's a cold rain. Then tomorrow morning, 40% chance of that rain-snow mix. And so how much of it is going to be snow? Well, if I guess we're lucky, It'll mostly be snow, and you might kick out a quarter of an inch in Kenosha, but it's possible also, Kenosha, it could stay all rain, or maybe just a few tiny little flakes that don't accumulate, and so we may very well miss out. So Racine, for example, I think it'll be a touch cooler, so you have a better chance of getting a little thin layer of accumulation. Kenosha and areas farther south, though, probably not even going to see any accumulation. I think the biggest story for Kenosha may very well be the wind, though, because this is probably going to be the windiest place in the state. Early afternoon tomorrow, we're talking wind gusts around 40 miles per hour. So I know it's mid-40s, but it's not going to feel that warm with that kind of a wind. And 40 mile per hour wind gusts can really throw things around. So just keep that in mind. If you have Christmas decorations up, make sure they're secure, or Frosty may wind up in the neighbor's yard. Keep that in mind. I do think by the evening hours, the winds will die down. So if you're a little bit disappointed by that snowfall amount in the Kenosha area, don't worry. We've got many more snow chances to come. It's early. And I tell you what, we're going to be doing more weather coverage here. I'm going to be making more forecast videos like this. I'll be making posts to social media as well, trying to keep you informed of the weather, because we know Mother Nature can throw some wild stuff at us here in Wisconsin. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay warm.